Oh, Joe.
There's lambing time, you might have to beep the odd word from my father out, you know, up there.
Like all of these things, Barry, we start with a wee bit of hand sanitising.
Yep.
We're not trying to be funny or smart, but we're trying to get it out there that it actually is good practice.
I have to say, it does freshen the smell of the tractor up a wee bit.
Well, look, folks, as you can see, look, we're in Fermanagh, the wonderful part of Fermanagh. We called up to see Barry and how he's getting on. Ask him a few questions about things. As I said, look, it's 10 years of this wonderful brand at this stage, and we had planned to call back to a lot of the guys that were with us from the very start this season. We had a very action-planned year, but as things stand at the minute, we're not going to be able to do that. So we wanted to call up, have a chat with Barry. Barry's been having a tough winter here in more ways than just coronavirus.
Yeah, it started raining the first week of August, and pretty much apart from 2 weeks, hasn't stopped. It's pretty horrendous, I'll be honest.
To the point where we're sitting here now, all the sheep. This is a very busy time on the farm here. Your father's a lot of lambing going on. You have lambing going on. All your sheep houses were literally flooded a few weeks back.
There was over 700 ewes had to be moved out. The bedding cleaned out because it was all flooded. We actually had to wait for the river to disappear again.
There's the boss man.
Oh, boss man, he away to the factory. Yeah, we get a few pound, pay a few bills. There was around 1,000 ewes in the yard, and there were 700 of them flooded. And it was up till well up their bellies by 7:15. Fair play to the staff. Not many people on a Sunday morning at 6:30 would even answer the phone. They answered the phone, they came in, and 7 o'clock we had a couple of hundred sheep already out of the yard. You know,
I had previewed pictures up on Facebook, but it was horrendous looking.
It was the sad thing is people must think we're idiots building a farm where it floods. This farm used to flood every 10, 15 years, once every 10, 15 years. The government has done flood defences upriver at Maguire's Bridge and at Temple. Big flood defences.
Pushes it down.
Pushes it down. Unfortunately, one field over from our farm is the Coldbrick River, and just above us, the Tempo and Coldbrick River join. Two rivers join. Both of the flood defences done. Surge of water comes down to us, gets to the bridge. When the bridge reaches capacity, boom. And like where we're sitting here, almost to your knees with the water. And I wouldn't mind, but when we built this shed, I raised it in 18 inches higher than we'd normally have to.
And here was flooded?
Oh, in here was flooded. It was up to nearly your knees.
Oh my word.
Your Jeep's parked, it was up above your number plate. Well above your number plate.
So when you're across my eye line here, that's above the sheep's head?
Yeah. Yeah. The main yard gate, just below where the gate bolts, it was about 6 inches below that.
Boys of dears.
1987 is the only time it flooded worse.
But
and we just, to be fair, the guys came in, they were in 7:15. The sheep were moved. When the water went down, cleaned out all the sheds, rebedded them, threw the sheep back in, and it was 7 o'clock that evening.
Boys of dears.
And there was 7 of us in there. And to be fair to the neighbours, by 8:30, I'd say we had 5 offers of fields or sheds. And like there's some fellas, big dairy farmers around the road, and there's sheds a couple of mile away. He says, listen, if you want, we'll move cattle, you can put them in there for the day. And like, to be fair, that's what it's all about. It's the neighbourliness. That's probably the reason I'm still a contracting. The people I work for, people I like to work for.
I enjoy it, yeah.
Enjoy. It's a very social thing, and this coronavirus, it's going to test the whole.
It's going to test a lot of relationships
communities
and stuff. Yeah. Because you're going to have to go and do work, by the information that's coming through, and by the likes of the. I was reading an article I was saying earlier on about FCA, and now it was published there by like the Irish Farmers Journal's advice, and tractors, so you're probably going to have to look at implementing policies where the neighbour can't jump up in with you.
Well, we have started that. Guys get into basically glorified quarantine in the morning in their tractor, and we used to run tractors that were used for specific tractors did specific jobs. Big tractors did the likes of subsoiling, big the heavy discs.
I know what you're
and
saying.
we used, and the tractor with the worn tyres did the road work. I'm now, after 22 years, going to have to turn around and bite my tongue, and I'm going to have to put good tyres at road work, but the guy, one tractor, one driver. Now, we would work that a lot of the time, but whenever we wouldn't be mad busy, and there's 7 or 8 tractors, whatever it is, if there's 3 of them out, you take the most suitable ones.
Yeah.
Whereas now, it's just going to be, you're going to be hooking machines on and off, and the guy's going to try and stay in the one tractor. And I had to have a wee word with them.
Yeah.
They're safe enough when they're here, because to be in the tractor, they're not going to meet anybody else. Farmers will keep their distance and all that. But when they go home.
That's right, yeah.
But now, one of the guys, young fella, he lives with his granny. She has health issues.
He has to be.
Wang's wife, she would have health issues. The other fella is his girlfriend. She is in the healthcare industry. So they all. My old boy, he's 70, got a stent in at Christmas, and he ticks about 4 of the wrong boxes you don't want to tick for coronavirus.
Well, I see he's in isolation there, all right.
He's isolated with 1,000 odd sheep. Yeah. He's over the pig's back. There's only about 250 left of lamb.
Nice, he's going.
So he's going well. He's going well.
250, I wouldn't like the thought of that, all right.
Aye.
But Barry, how's things other than the disaster of the weather, other than this coronavirus, COVID-19, which is not that pretty, let's be honest. How's things looking?
For me, as an individual, staff, great staff. The guys I have, they're interested, they want to be here. It's not just clock in, clock out. They want to do the work. They enjoy the machinery. They enjoy being somewhere different.
Yeah.
They have great pride in their work. I have great pride in the work we do, and I like being associated with good work. It's like yourselves. You do the job well. I have great when you come and visit. You know, my staff, that's number one. And for this whole thing, it's look after them. Yeah. My bank account is sort of number 2. It's not great, but we'll get there, hopefully. Hasn't been simple, never is simple, but it's just one challenge after the other at the minute. Yeah. You know, we had Brexit, and we haven't even heard the word. One good thing with coronavirus, you haven't heard Brexit in 2 weeks.
I kind of miss Brexit. I could do a night of Brexit, the TV would break the thing up a bit.
Yeah, and people think it, and I thought just when you're talking about that, I thought there's some things coming out of this, is maybe bringing a bit of reality back. There was a picture of a baby dairy calf in a pen, and the farmer had put the statement on it. Now people understand why we isolate young calves, to stop the spread of disease. And like that, I thought they were getting grief about the management of young calves, not being in an environment.
There's not much grief going about there at the minute.
No, not hearing nothing about it. No. Well, I haven't heard the word vegan. That's it.
The only time I've heard it is when people have taken pictures that even with all the hoarding, they're still leaving the vegan shelves full.
Yeah, right.
You can see some of the pictures.
Yeah.
The last time, I suppose, we officially visited you and did a bit of a catch-up video, we had left a certain blue tractor with you, a small...
I doubt our Valter's got a virus. There's 2 of them torn blue out there, I see.
This is the thing I was sort of coming to. What happened, Barry? Because since then, you've bought not 1, but 2 New Holland blue.
Yeah. Hey, you left me a 4-cylinder New Holland. The Dynamic Command, lovely tractor. You said you're leaving down a 4-cylinder. I said, there's not much point bringing that to Fermanagh. It'll never. Blew away with its capabilities. Nice to drive, easy on fuel, great to grip. ticked all the boxes it shouldn't have. If I was to listen to what everybody else says about them.
Understand.
Yeah. Now, we bought a 210. She very low, she'd only 600 hours. Bought her, she did 1,200 hours last year, and up until the week before Christmas, not a spanner was put to her, apart from service, and then she did the brakes. But I was well warned. Now, the 50k bearing hasn't fell out of her yet, and the carrier bearing on the four-wheel drive hasn't. But the only thing was the brakes. That went one day at 4:30. I would say if I'd pushed Kennedy's, they might even have sent a mechanic down. They were that attentive to get it sorted.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And we're down the next morning going lunchtime. And one of the guys works for me, used to be a mechanic in a tractor garage. He'll do it the next time if we want.
And
No
then,
bother.
so you've had the 210 and you've liked the 210.
Like the 210. We, with the weather, we're we wouldn't have 20% of the work done that we should have done at this stage on the 3rd week of March. We're not 20% of the work done. I seen a backlog coming. I went and looked at a second-hand New Holland, and happened to be chatting to you, and you said, there's a website, go and take a look. And I went look at McLean's website, seen a tractor I liked, and rang him, and I think it was about 10 minutes, and the tractor was bought. And she was over here within a week.
Yeah.
Job done. And
Yeah.
The photos were honest.
Yeah.
And the tractor, to be honest, is probably even tidier than I thought she might have been. And we've used her. Now, hasn't done a lot, but she's been out a few days. Guys love her. And great now, there's 5,500 hours on her.
You weren't going for something new.
I
This was a spare bit of horsepower, as you talked about.
This is something to pull a big tanker, pull a 4.5. We've run 3 4.5s. We usually pull a tractor off a pump, one of the other systems, to pull it. But this year, because we're so far behind, instead of putting 2 out when we're busy, we're going to have to put 3 systems out.
Understand.
2 dribble bars, 1 splash plate, try and get through the work, because I can't get to it.
And
Somebody else will take
She's
it off
auto
me.
command, isn't she?
Auto
Barry?
command, yeah.
How's that going down?
Oh, like it.
Do you like it yourself?
I do like it.
like-
I drive that
Do you
in the
like-
summer. I drive that in the summer. Used to drive that, I now drive that.
Hey, Eddie. Eddie, if you're watching this. We're having a go at Eddie, but not as Big M Mark II's 11 years old, and I was pointing out to him that Big M has seen 3 shovels, 3 harvesters, 3 rakes, and it's still the same Big M. What's he playing at? He wasn't liking it, so Eddie.
From what I hear, the step from a Mark II, there's an awful amount of Mark IIs were about. Guys had some very troublesome ones, never went back. 400 is an awesome machine. That is even better. That there's real nice to drive. That's class. Like some people classify our fields as flower pots down here. And like the
Market gardeners.
market gardeners, like you do get, if I get one decent sized field in a day, a long day, 200 acres. And in them wee 3-4 acre fields, that's our bread and butter, unfortunately, 3 and 4 acre fields. I could still, if we've reseeded on the nice and level, 170, 180 acres, no bother, and be home before it's dark.
Good machine, and on the very positive side for Crone and the Big M, the 450 does seem to be the next step up.
She is,
again.
yeah.
I know maybe at the very, very start in the first couple of ones that were camouflaged had minor issues, but it does seem to be so. Crone seem to be marching forward with
They
the
are.
Big M.
No, I understand where they've gone. That machine there has a lot of belts on it, and to be honest, that's a wee bit like a drug, that machine. When you get used to it, the capability of it, I don't care how handy you are at fixing stuff. Whenever that machine breaks down, the first phone call is to Kennedy's. I need such and such fixed. I might be fit to do it myself in 5 or 6 hours, but that time of year, I haven't that much other work behind. I'll go and seed, I'll go and ted, I'll go and rake, I'll do something else. And whenever they come, we come in, give them a hand, get it fixed, get away again. And that there, it is just like a drug. When you get used to that, she's really nice to you. We do the small fields with that. The front and back, we're still a front and back.
Yeah.
I go to a big field, I'll take the rings, I'll leave him to stripe the middle of it. It's just unbelievable.
But that's just the way you're saying that there, because, you know, just in Chandy Eddie, and we really were getting stuck into him a bit as Mark too. You know, he just was like, no, he wouldn't want a tractor in 3 moors. He has a tractor in 2 moors. No, big M. Even the Mark II, like, you know.
Well, I didn't buy that new. That's Ex O'Hare's. I bought their previous. They change every 3 years. They went for a 450 now. I bought that last year. And
Is that better than the first one you had?
That was no difference. Very little. Funny, the other one, well, they're set up different. The other one had slightly different power characteristics. But to drive, very little difference. No.
And over this
I
shoulder,
drive at the odd time. That is more power than me 600. I unfortunately would drive a Forager a wee bit more harder than you probably should. I would. And I love the 600. You could put her to her knees. That occasionally, whenever you put her to her knees, she'll do the dirt and block the spout. Now, whether there's something not just set 100%, I don't know. I've been at New Holland, there's some wee issue. We've tried moving parts one way and moving settings the other way, and we just can't get it. On a certain days, she would blow you away, but there's a certain type of grass, and she struggles when I'm driving it. Nobody else has any bother.
So they keep you out, Barry?
No,
what are you trying to say, Barry?
it's a bit like limbo dancing. Just how low can you go with the engine revs? And the 600, you could put her to 1200, less than 1200 engine revs, and the grass still went out of the spout into the trailer.
But in general,
That there you can, but the odd type of grass, you'll get about 14 and she'll span her out.
Don't want that.
Very simple. Funny, when New Holland's way lazy red. It's a pity the FX wasn't as easy red, but that's whenever they're about.
and is Balin still? Cause
Balin, to be honest, the way farming's going down round us, the smaller farmers, weather's getting even more unpredictable. You're getting these big spells of wet weather. Our tankers, for example, initially were bought for doing slurry in the spring. Last summer they did 3/4 of any slurry hold to fields, tankers and pipes. That's the way it's going.
boys of dears. Piping in the summer.
All piping in the summer.
Boys of dears.
And silage, balers have moved on that far. You're putting with a fusion baler anywhere from a ton back to 850 kilos in a bale. You go back 20 years ago, they were about 500 kilos.
Yeah.
So they've become quite economical for baling. I have men cutting 150 acres 3 times, and if the weather's not suiting, that you can get the 2 or 3 magic days to get it in, they'll take out 40, 50 acres a couple of times. They bale the whole cut, no bother. They'd bale 2 cuts if they had to. The baling's going to grow if the silage doesn't the rates don't improve. A couple of years' time, you come here, they mightn't be here, unfortunately. That'll be here. That mightn't.
It'll be John Dan's 450 then.
Well, we'll see.
In a couple of years' time.
We'll see.
That's what it'll be.
No, funny, that is like a drug now.
Is that why?
That's the biggest surprise I have got. The first year I had the first one, I didn't even let her do all the mowing because I was afraid of taking her into wet places and all that. And as long as you keep that lever as far to the window as you can, you keep your diesel consumption down, and if you do hit a wet spot, you might get out through it.
I think we're sort of realising why this yellow machine might block the odd time.
Yeah.
It's the grass that Barry mowed.
The guys, they hate it. They hate me mowing wet ground. The big M, she just floats over it. That's the one downside when you group it with the big M.
I don't see what lies.
It's not even that. The forager has to follow the same track.
Aye, that's true.
And the farmers all think this is like a hovercraft.
And this is it.
And then I think this yoke's heavy. That yoke is perfectly fine on ground. It's just, this has had the first bite on the fresh land, and it's just tender each side of the road where she is already going. But no.
Do you think there's a market then in this country for it spread out and merged as opposed to road to allow you to get all tracks and all moved and things like that?
We run a 40-foot rake and we run a 50-foot rake. It wasn't, they weren't bought, and they weren't bought to move the rows intentionally, but that is one side benefit. They were bought to sicken the yoke if we can all the time. When she's working hard, I'm making money. When she's diddling around the field, I'm not making money. For the harder you drive her, the easier per acre she is on fuel. So that's why we have 40 and 50-foot rows. And like, to be fair to New Holland, 50-foot row of force cut grass, size of this table, and that yoke loves it. You know, and they're the rows the guys will get the best acres per hour, because the whole horsepower is chopping grass. They're not trundling at 15k around the field, you know.
Aye, and slowing for one lumpy bit. And
yeah, and then the 50-foot rake, we would have an old 3,000. Suited my budget. Was give very little bother.
I know there's a good 3,600 for sale in the market there now, pretty much now. Good second-hand one.
5 seasons done.
5 seasons done. Well, actually been genuine. We'll have a wee chat after.
We'll have a wee chat off camera. Yeah.
Eddie's just traded his in
Is that
for
right?
second one.
Yeah.
He loved it.
Yeah. No, I'd like to.
Actually, no, for Eddie driving, she's tidy.
Sure, that's
She
not
she was sitting there, we couldn't, but aye, he traded her in, loved her. Absolutely loved her. But he said the 36 was perfect. He looked at the 4,000, but he said they actually were able to do away with a second smaller rake, and they have done everything over the last 5 years with that one, right?
I have the 3,000, the 50-foot rake. I have the 3,100 two-rotor. She will rake more acres in a day than the 50-foot. For our heavy crops, our back two rotors have too much grass to move, and the 3,000 can't cope. That's probably where your 36.
I'd say your 36 will come in there now.
Yeah.
Just in through the ISA bus, if you took it up
Yeah.
that way, should everything just be a wee bit.
Yes,
Should be a
different.
great job for the
Fine
235.
Yeah. I don't have a 235, 234s, unfortunately.
No, you do.
Oh, the New Holland, sorry, yeah.
Oh, no,
I
come
keep
on.
forgetting
Should
them,
be
two of
great-
them.
Should be a great job on that yoke.
Yeah, the Vario.
Well, I'm just thinking of this old coronavirus. That's a job we reckon we could do.
Yeah.
You set yourself up for a
I'll
job.
set myself up for a job. I'll bring the rake down the road.
Well, I'll tell you, when you're coming, you may bring one of them yellow loaders. For we'll have to take an investigation in the near future about just something a wee bit bigger. For everything else has moved on. Now, unfortunately, some of our farmers' silos haven't. So the Manitou is here to stay, but I'm going to have to look at something maybe a wee bit bigger.
Well, I if something a wee bit bigger and not going right to the full age, I most certainly would suggest getting a look at that 419.
Yeah.
Well, I think it would be a great tool. Now, I don't know if especially with your relationship with Kennedy, surely you'd be fit to get a
We'll try
demo
it out.
fired out.
We'll try
Well,
it.
Barney, do you think this summer, are you worried about this sort of pandemic that's going around at the minute?
I had enough problems with the wet weather before coronavirus came, but agriculture has to be kept going
Of course it does.
because people have to be fed.
Yeah.
Unlike the media 4 weeks ago, they all said we could import all our food. I think reality has sort of kicked in.
Well, you'd like to think so. You'd like to think that for the whole agricultural industry, or maybe all primary industries, if
Yes.
there's anything to come out of the coronavirus epidemic, going forward into all your Brexit negotiations and all the rest of it, it has to be the importance of feeding your own people.
Well, unfortunately,
And that's,
people's memory. We have been through all these problems in different times through history. If you go back to the Spanish flu or
1918, was it?
1918, there was, I think you seen, I shared it, data on 2 cities in America that
Right,
took,
Philadelphia and I can't remember the other city.
and they took 2 different approaches.
Yeah,
The first city, there was a big party and 200,000 went to it,
that is correct.
and 4,500 of them died.
Hospitals were overrun.
The hospital's overrun. The other city, the first case happened, 2 days later, shut all down, and there's only a handful died.
Only a handful died, and their curve was this flat curve.
This
and
big,
that's-
it lasted longer, but the whole hospitals could cope. And I thought it very, like that's 100 years ago, like. And the cities knew then, and people here is questioning why do this, why do that. If people do that, there's a chance it'll not be that bad. Back to food. The grants and the food policy towards agriculture after World War II, the British Isles had to import a lot of their food during the war.
That's correct.
And after that, the government says, we're not being caught again with our trousers down. We're going to look after our farmers. They're going to feed our country. However, after 60 or 70 years, them whole thoughts have disappeared, and they're quite happy to import their food. But they will now realise very promptly that it's hard to beat helping the people in your own country feed themselves.
It's a bit like,
Self-sufficient.
I think sometimes
Self-sufficient.
what it comes down to, but Barry, is a bit like, you know, they talk about agriculture and industries. You can't drive it. You can't drive an agricultural budget or an agricultural policy from an office with a pen 1,000 miles away from a cornfield. If you get, you know, there's that sort of phrase or phrase of speak out there, and you look at, you go back through the European Union history and the common agricultural policy and how it was all set up, and the intentions of it was all to make sure that there never was a shortage of food. And yet, and with all now in a post-Brexit or pre-Brexit situation, these letters are getting leaked by the government saying, let's look at was it Singapore? Let's look at a Singapore model where we've imported all our food and we can do all that there. Oh man, that's some kick in the teeth, isn't it?
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But there'll be a lot more understanding to the farmers when this is over. Hopefully we all survive to see it, like. But that's...
I think there's a lot of lessons, and let's be honest, I'll say this, you know, genuinely with remorse, we know there's people not going to make it through this pandemic, but all we can do, and that's why we don't want to overstep the mark and be in cabs and out filming, all we can do is encourage, you know, our friends in the industry, encourage people in the industry and try and go forward. We might have to get into a situation of, I don't know, remote link sending us videos and get updates and put together, we don't know, but we have to protect our employees just the same way you have to try and protect your employees. So, but no, I think it's scary times, but I think back through the history books and through the genes, there's great resilience there, and it will come through again.
Yeah. Agriculture would be very good at taking on challenges. Now, however, my challenges have been one after the other for the last 5 or 6 years, and sort of there comes a time when you wonder, am I doing something wrong or what is it? But usually we get out through it.
But on a lighter note, Barry, I think I understand how you've managed to keep going. Because Lang was telling me that these bags hanging up here are full of money. Now, he said now the last couple of years you've had to cut a few down. So these are the money bags.
When I pull the shed down.
I wish, Gareth. I wish.
There's nothing that handy, but I suppose, Barry, when you look at it, when you go way back to GRASSMEN, this is 10 years for us, and you know, you go back to the second, I suppose the second or third DVD, but now it's really the second DVD that we offer for sale, Green Fever, and we came down and get introduced and met you. A lot has changed in those few years as well. When you look back, it's amazing the speed of technology, and
I've got more
the only
grey
thing
hairs.
that hasn't changed is Wang and his Manitou.
Yeah. Oh, we keep buying them new ones.
But you know, it's crazy how it's a fast-paced world.
But I'll tell you, Gareth, you see when you were here filming 10 years ago, there wouldn't be a third of the contractors still going that were my competitors. There wouldn't be a third of them left that there was whenever you were
Seriously?
here. Yeah, men quitting for different reasons. or been made quit, but they are being replaced. But now, there's not that many of them make it over 10 or 12 years. Like my dad had done 20 odd years, I've done 22 years. And look, we're sort of stubborn out brutes, you know.
You're going right,
We're doing all right. But that's the next generation here.
It's coming along.
Is coming along. But Rebecca's more into the sheep.
Rebecca's lambing now for the next week. Well, Rebecca has to. Schools are now closed. I mean, it's unheard of.
She's only 11, so yeah.
It's unheard of. Schools are now closed, and
we all dreamt of getting off school in March.
So
never happened.
We're at the end of March. Schools are closed. So slave labour in the Barry Reid camp here.
No slave labour.
Rebecca is going to do the
No slave labour. No. She'll be like the rest. She'll clock in and clock out.
I take it, Barry, you're not even getting it. Oh, that's not fair. Barry, you're caught every way.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind.
Barry, it's great to call up and see you. We are gutted that it's around the table, but we feel it's sort of the safest approach.
Yeah, I think fair play to you.
And we want to try and get a few messages out there. We better hope. It is serious. And Connor's going to go out now with the camera and get a picture of this 235. One final question, but you're not done with Valtra.
No, I'm not done with Valtra. No, there's another new one coming. I'm trading in one.
Oh, so you're just...
Yeah. Well, the one that's been traded in, 174, probably just a wee bit low on horsepower for what we wanted. A few issues with reliability. It was sorted well enough, the dealer and all, but just a wee bit more troublesome than we'd be used to.
But you're not... You like your New Holland. Your New Holland hasn't...
New Holland's nice. Valtra cab would be... There's not much on the market.
Okay.
Would compete. Them out green slugs would come close, but they wouldn't be as good. Like.
Thanks, Barry.